Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started here. I am Zach Hinsey, the head of sales here at Concord. I know a lot of you that are on this call. I probably don't know quite everyone yet, but I do know quite a few of you. I've been at Concord for over 10 years myself. Happy to be walking through the system today. We've had a lot of questions recently about different components of the kind of create negotiate process. And so I thought, well, we might as well just do an updated full walkthrough demo. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today for the webinar. If you do have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to take those questions as they come. This recording, as always, will be available to everyone tomorrow, and we will send those directly to you. So if you want to get a recap to remember kind of what we talked about and how I went through everything, I will try not to go too fast, but there's a lot to cover, and so I'll quickly go through it. But if you want to get that recording, that'll get sent out to you tomorrow. So just so you know. And also, if you do have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to myself, zach.hinsey@concord.app, or you can reach out to our support team directly as well, support@concord.app. So we have some great team members that help with our support email, or you could send a message to me as well. And thank you as always to Alice for helping prepare this webinar and to run things behind the scenes. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and jump right in and we'll get started inside of Concord. Now, I am going to be showing you the demo today on the Concord Horizon version, the new platform. However, it's actually the same. Once you get into the document view itself, it's the exact same. We haven't changed the document view in Horizon or Classic yet. So what I'll be walking through will look the same in both systems. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We've got a great group of people here today. A lot of power users in Concord too. So a lot of you probably already know how to do a lot of this stuff, but we'll go through some of the best practices here. So cool. I'm going to start with a template. I kind of see we've got a lot of both here. The reason I want to start with the template is because there's some additional things to show you within a template. But for those of you that are maybe brand new to Concord, if I wanted to create a new document in Concord, you can click New Document. In the Classic version, it's up at the top left, and then you can kick off from there. In Horizon, you can just drag and drop that document directly here into the system and then click Upload. So it's very easy to kind of bring that into the tool. So that's step one. And also, there is actually a step before step one. If you wanted to, you could use our intake process. So if you wanted to actually build some intake forms and have people from the organization be able to submit those intake forms, you could do that here. And you could kind of manage your intake requests and start documents from there. But we're going to just go right into the document for today. So I'm going to jump into this template. This is just a Word doc that I've taken and uploaded into Concord. Nothing too special here. I've got my template. You can also insert your different fields. So if you want to put in signature fields, some standard data fields, you can do like multiple choice checkboxes, things like that. And then we also have smart fields. These are custom fields that you'll need to create. But the idea behind them is these are just custom fields you can create and then insert directly into the document. So that's what goes here. Now, a couple other things to point out. We do have our built-in approval workflow. This is not available on all of our plans, but with the business or enterprise or pro and enterprise, you will have access to the approval workflow. So if you wanted to choose who needs to see and approve the document before it can be signed, of course, you can set up that approval routing. If you add an approval workflow to a template, anytime someone uses that template, they will have to go through that approval workflow. So just keep in mind that's the approval workflows there. You can do step-by-step workflow, single step, conditional. There's a lot of types of workflows that can be set up. And we've had other webinars we've talked specifically about those, so I won't go too far into depth, but just know that that's there. We also have the e-signature setup. So this is where you choose how many signers you want. You can do signing order. So if you want to have them sign before you sign or vice versa, you could. So I can just turn that on here. It's going to number them and I can move that around. I also have the auto request. I would always recommend having that turned on. That just means as soon as one person signs, it'll automatically send the request to the next signer. So that's an important one. And then you can also use that preset signature block. So you can either put the signatures into the body of the document here, or you can just keep them at the very bottom in the signature block itself. So the template is pretty much ready to go now. Let's say that I want to go ahead and kick this off. One thing I will say that we do internally here, and because I'm showing you a bad practice by not actually showing you how we recommend doing it. We recommend just putting in like the vendor name here in parentheses to remind you to customize the title. And so a lot of our customers ask us about like naming conventions for your contract. So I would always recommend doing that from the template level, and that way you just have a reminder to fill that in. So we're ready to go ahead and click this into a draft. So I'm going to click Start Draft here. We now have a draft of this agreement. I'm going to come up here to my vendor name. I'll just put in Nike as my vendor. And then I'll go ahead and, oh, not that. I need to fill out these few fields that are assigned to me. So I'll go ahead and fill them in real quick. Great. Now the document is prepared. I can now share this out. So there's a couple things I could do at this point. If I have an approval workflow, which I do on this one, I could request that approval. And that's going to send that request out to the different people that are on this document as an approver. So that's going to be here. So I could do that if I wanted to. The other option is I could click on share and I can just share this with whoever I want to share the document with. So I'm going to go ahead and share it here to Mike, who's my outside party, Alexander and William, who are both my colleagues. I can choose what edit rights I give them. So full editor, limited, or viewer. Full editor means they can come in and make changes right in the document in Concord. Limited means they can just fill in required fields. And viewer means they can just see the document. I'll put a personal message here that's going to go out with that email invitation. You can also create a customized template for that. So if I wanted to have kind of a standard, standard message going out with each one, I could do that there. I can also include download links, number of different things, and then I can send this out. Yeah, if you can share it first and then do the approval workflows later. Yeah, good question. You don't have to do the approvals first. Sometimes people want to share that out, get all the back and forth done, and then request the approval. You can totally do that. It doesn't matter when you share that. Can you change the name of the contract after it's been uploaded? Yeah, you can change the name anytime you want to. That's a good thing here. And then there's a question about a password. Not sure what that question's about. If you just reach out to us here at support@concord.app and we can help you with whatever. If you can't get into your Concord account or need someone to help you, just let us know. Yeah. I can help you create an account. So just reach out to us and we'll help you with that. Cool. Let's keep going here. So we've got a document. We've got a document here in the system. So got my contract right here. We've got our approval workflow, which we haven't kicked off yet. One thing I want to talk about is the share modal. So I'm going to click back onto share. And if you ever wanted to change the edit rights of someone you've invited to the document, this is a very common one. You share this out with someone, they're like, hey, I actually do have some changes I want to make. You could then switch them over to a full editor if you wanted to. You can also remove people from the document here. There's just a number of different options. But yeah, so you can change those anytime you want to. And then the other best practice that I use, because all of my contracts are signed through Concord. I've done, I don't even know how many thousands of contracts over the years through the platform. I always like to generate a direct link. So to do that, I come down here into general access. I go limited editor to match what my other editors are going to be. And you could do full editor if you want to, but I'll just do limited for now. And then I click copy link. Now that's going to give me a direct link that anybody can use to get to this document. The reason I do that is because when I invite someone to a document, I'm going to send them an email letting you know, hey, I just shared a document with you through Concord, and I'm going to put that direct link there. That way, in case something happens with that invitation email, maybe they didn't see it, it just gives them another way to get into the document. So I always recommend doing that just to make it a little bit easier for them. Okay, so that'll get them access to the document. On their side, what will happen, if for those of you that have never seen this before, let me just show you real quick. Wow, I've got way too many things open. Cool. Here we go. We've got over 50 people on the call today. That's a great number. What'll happen is this is going to send the email out to the person that you invited to this document. it's going to look like this, and they'll just simply click Open Document. It'll look a little different than this, but they'll click Open Document, and that'll take them right into that agreement. They don't have to sign up for Concord or create an account. They just click that link, whether you send them a direct link or the other link, and that brings them into the document here in Concord. Now, when they come into the system, it's going to look slightly different for them. That's what we call a guest user view. It's just a lot simpler. They don't have all of the same things that you can see. They don't see like all the approval workflows. They don't see all the different options that you have. They'll just have a cleaner view where they can sign, they can edit if you give them edit rights, and then they can also ask questions here in the discussion panel. So let's talk about the negotiation of the contract. So we have some different tools to help with that. First of all, let's say that they came into the system here and they wanted to just sign the document right away. Excuse me. They could do that. So they could come into the document, they can review it and be like, okay, this all looks good. They could just click sign. That's best world practice, right? That's what's going to happen. Like, awesome. Let's say they aren't ready to quite sign it yet because they have some pending changes or some questions. So when they come into the document here, they can ask questions in the discussion panel. And they'll be able to post those publicly. Public means everybody will see that message. You'll get an email for it, and it's going to go out to anyone who has access to this document, like who's on the document. The internal notes are going to be just for you and your colleagues. So you and your licensed user colleagues who have access to this document are the only ones that will receive and see this internal note. So we do have public versus internal. Now, let's say that they want to come in and make some edits to the document in the system. You can have track changes turned on by default on the template itself. And so when they come into this document, if they are, if they want to mark it up here in Concord, add their comments, changes, whatever, you can do that directly in the system. And I know all you lawyers out there are thinking, yeah, we're not going to do that. And we'll talk about that too. But if you wanted to make all the negotiation changes here, you can. You can either post this publicly or internal once again. Another cool feature we have in Concord is the ability to do an entire internal version. Where this is really useful is, let's say that someone has come back to you, they have made a bunch of different changes outside or inside of Concord. You have them now in the system, and you want to be able to work on those with your finance or legal team, whoever, but you don't want the outside party to see all those changes yet. You want to work on it together. So you could actually turn this into an internal only version, work on it with your colleagues, and then once you're done working on it, you can publish it back out as a public version. So we do have that feature here to be able to turn that internal anytime you want. Now, we've got a couple markups and changes here. Behind the scenes, this little audit trail, it's the little clock circle here. You can come in and see exactly what's happening at a high level. I really recommend using this because it'll show you when they've read the document, if they've invited other people in, if they've signed, if they've approved. So that's all going to show up here. We also have a breakdown of the specific comments on the document and all the track changes as well. And once I accept or reject them, it'll show if it's been accepted or rejected once that's done. And then we also have the actual under revisions here, you have the version history. So this is where I can come in and see the previous versions of the document, and I can compare them to each other. So as you start getting 10, 15, 20 versions, you can compare any two versions together. You can do that anytime. So. Sorry, am I missing questions here? There is a question about, does a transmittal email come from the sender's personal or Concord email account? That's actually a great question. It's going to come from Concord's, but we do have a feature with our enterprise plan called custom email sender, where it can actually come from your company's server. So that is something that you could turn on with that enterprise package. One other thing to mention here is we do have the analytics for the version history. This is a relatively new thing. So this is going to show you like how many total versions there are, the number of days between versions, etc. So that's all going to show up here. So let's get to the other way that you would negotiate this contract for the lawyers on the call. As we know, Microsoft Word is still kind of the gold standard in the legal world. People love Microsoft Word. We also do work with Google Docs as well, so we have both. I could download this into Word anytime I want to. If I download it into Word, I can choose what to do with my comments. I'm going to keep them public only, so that way I don't export out the internal comments, which I wouldn't want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just download this, unless I want to send it to like a colleague, but otherwise I would just do the public only. When I open this in Word, it's going to look just like a normal Word doc. So it's going to have all my comments and changes and everything that I created in Concord. They're going to now show up here in the Word doc, just like normal. So let's say that somebody wants to negotiate this with you outside of Concord, totally fine. Download the doc, send it to them. They can make all their changes. And then when they send you back that new version, just go ahead and drag and drop that back into this same record. I'm going to upload that as a live document because that means we're making edits inside of Concord. I'm going to import the comments as public, and I'm going to make sure the track changes are turned on, and we'll import that back in the system. Now, what'll happen here is the document will come into Concord. It's going to version up and it's going to track all the changes. So as you can see here, we've got some new changes in the document. If I go back into my audit trail, I can see this new version was created. I can see any of the new comments or track changes that were done here. These all just happened just now because they came in from Word. And then if I go to my version history, I can also compare the previous versions to each other as well. So I've got I can compare version 2 to version 3, and I can see all those things here. There's a question about when the package was bought and if you have all these options. You have all these options, yeah. I mean, all the things I'm showing right now are standard features of Concord. You may not have like the approval workflows if that's not on the plan that you're on, but all of the other basic stuff, the redlining, negotiation, audit trails, all that stuff is standard. Yeah, absolutely. So here we've got our document. We've been working inside of Concord and through Word. There's one other thing I want to highlight before we talk signature, and that is our Copilot. So one thing that is getting used more and more by our customers is our Copilot. This is powered by OpenAI, for those of you that don't know. We did have an older version of the Copilot that was Gemini. We replaced it about 2 months ago. It's a lot better now. So you are able to come in here and say, review this for risk. And uh, so you can have it like review it for risk and create an executive summary. You could have this write an email for you to kind of tell people about this contract, to summarize it, to get deal points out of it. Like there's lots of things you could do with the AI. But this is built directly inside of Concord, and you can just ask those questions as you want to. There are no tokens or limitations with this. No, this is available on any AI-enabled plan. Most of our customers have an AI-enabled plan at this point. Very few of them don't, but if you're one of the ones that don't, reach out and we can talk about that. But most plans should have this at this point. Yeah. Cool. So that is the Copilot. Now let's talk about how to actually get the contract signed through the platform. So we've got this contract negotiated. We've gone back and forth. We've maybe imported and exported some copies. Now we're ready to get this signed. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean the version. I can accept or reject the changes one by one if I wanted to. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just reject all changes, just like this. And then we can move that to signature. Now with the signature itself, you can either put a specific person in as the signer by putting in their email address or by selecting them from your list of users. So if you know who the signer is going to be, just put in their email address there. That's the easiest way to do it, because once I do that, I can request their signature and it just goes directly to them. But otherwise, once this is set up, I can go ahead and just sign. Like right now, I have it set up to any external guest can sign, and any internal guest or any internal user that has signature capabilities, like permissions, could sign it, internal. So once it's set up, I just click sign. It'll have all my information here from the last time that I signed. I can always change my font if I want to. You can draw your signature in, and you can also upload an image of your signature if you wanted to. And then you'll go ahead and sign and execute right through the tool. So you can go ahead and sign the contract. Your outside party can sign as well. And then once the contract is fully signed by all parties, of course, there's emails going out for all of these different steps. So like I'll just show you what it looks like when it's fully signed. I'm going to finalize the signing here. There we go. So there are emails going out. Like this is the signature request email. So this will show you like, hey, this person has collected one signature. Now it's your turn to sign. So that's what went out to the other signer there. And then once the document is fully signed, which might take a minute for it to happen, it'll send an email for that as well, just to tell you like, hey, this document is now fully signed and executed. And then they can download a copy for their records from that email. On your side, it's going to stay in Concord and be moved into a signed document. So that's a new stage. And then the AI is going to do its thing to extract out all the key details here and fill them into the summary sheet of the contract itself. Yeah, I'll throw my email in here real quick while we're waiting on this. That's my old email address. You can either do the concord.app or you can do that one that I just put in there. Either one's fine. Okay, a couple questions here. Is the AI private, meaning will AI hold that data, keep it private for the company? Yeah, so any of the AI that's using Concord, we have a zero data retention policy with our AI providers. That just means that they don't have access to your data, they don't store your data, and they don't train any models on any of our customer data. So that's a very important thing for us. We are dealing with contracts which are sensitive documents. We want to make sure no one has access to your data ever. There's kind of a funny situation that happened a few weeks ago. One of our competitors in the space, I won't name names, but they started talking about how much money was being managed in all their contracts and all this information about their contracts. The funny thing is, we literally don't know that information because we're not able to look at our customers' contracts intentionally. So we just thought it was kind of funny that they were touting that, and it's like, well, we don't even know what's in their contracts. We don't have access to them. But yeah, so it is going to be very private, very secure through the system there. So the AI just did its thing. It's pulled out the agreement category, the document type. It'll list the parties. I have this set up as tests on the template. Normally it'll list all the parties here. It creates a quick description of the document. It also has, this one doesn't have an end date in the contract, not a great example, but if you wanted to come in here and update the end date, you could anytime you wanted to, but it was able to figure out like when it was signed. Normally it'll pull out all the other details. And then on this contract, I do have the custom extraction. This is a feature of Horizon, the new platform, where you can actually have the AI pull out any kind of data points you want. You can build these extraction agents. We can help you do that, and then it can pull out any of these additional details. And so those have all been pulled for this specific contract. So that is the process of create, negotiate, and sign. I'm going to jump into a different document. We are almost out of time for the post-signature management very quickly, just to show you a couple things. But let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to put them in. Time is flying faster than I thought it was. So here we go. We could easily spend an hour on this if we wanted to. There's so many good things to cover. Great. So here we've got a contract that's already been signed. This one I just have some more information. I think it'll be easier for you to understand. So a couple things to highlight real quick. Any contract that you have in Concord, whether you upload a scanned image, you upload a text PDF, you sign it through Concord, maybe you upload a DocuSign agreement, whatever. Like any document you bring into the system, we are going to automatically run it through an OCR to make a text copy of the document. This just happens behind the scenes. You don't need to look at that. If you ever want to go in and check it out, you can. It's under revisions here, and then you go to view OCR version. That'll show you the text copy of that document. We take the text copy and we do a data extraction to put the metadata here into the summary sheet. So all the information that you see here pretty much was extracted using AI. You could also put in additional details, like this one has a certificate of insurance expiration. This one has a payment that's due at a certain time. So you can add in other pieces of metadata. You could also put in custom properties here if you wanted to, but you have all your data here. You have that data for the contract. Now, the thing I want to talk about is our life cycle, because we are talking about the full life cycle of a contract. So now we have created the contract, we've negotiated it, we've signed it, and we're now ready to manage it going forward. So what'll happen is once a week, every Monday, you're going to get an email that looks like this. Oh, there was my fully signed email. But you'll get an email that looks like this that just shows all the upcoming deadlines for your contracts, and it'll show you how many days until the actual deadline is due. And then the other thing we have is inside of Concord, we have our actual deadline view for contracts here as well, where you're going to be able to come in and see a list of all the upcoming deadlines, and then you can also see the actual calendar view. So this is going to show you, okay, these are all the deadlines for this month. And the cool thing about this one is you can even sync this with your own calendar. So a lot of our contract managers, a lot of people on this call, they have this synced directly into their own like Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, whatever it might be. So that way they just see the deadlines directly there. They don't even have to come into Concord. So once that contract is signed, it's in the system, it sets up the deadline alerts. You're going to get those weekly emails every Monday, and you're going to be able to see all the calendar deadline alerts as well. That's kind of the full life cycle management. And then, of course, once all the documents are in there, you can build reports with all your contracts. You can create these custom reports in the tool. You could also have the co-pilot, if you're in Horizon, build reports for you. Just lots of different things you can do here through the system. But hopefully you can kind of see that's the idea behind Concord is to be a full lifecycle CLM, contract lifecycle management. And so it's really a one-stop shop for all of your company's contracts. To be able to help manage them, at any point in the process. And maybe you got them signed somewhere else and you want to upload them after the fact, totally fine. We have processes for all of that. Um, so I was just saying, yeah, someone said, what was I saying about DocuSign? I was just saying that like a lot of people will sign documents through DocuSign with like another vendor party or whatever, and they could just bring that document into Concord. We also integrate with DocuSign. So some of our customers will do the negotiation piece in Concord and then push it out to DocuSign to get it signed. And then we have an integration that brings it back into Concord. So yeah, our system is very flexible. There's lots of different ways to complete what you need to complete for sure. Another question about can the data flow into an accounting system? It can. We have lots of integrations in Concord to different tools. I'll just pull this up real quick here. So you could integrate using like our API, Zapier. Let me just pull it here. So we have integrations with Claude and ChatGPT. This is our MCP connection, which allows you to sit in those systems and ask questions about your contract database. That's really cool. We have build your own integrations with Zapier, APIs, and webhooks. And then out of the box integration with Salesforce, HubSpot, DocuSign, Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive. We have Slack integration. We have Microsoft Word. We have calendar integrations. There's a lot of stuff. So yeah, lots of different options. Yes, we can do a DocuSign tutorial maybe on a different webinar for sure. Definitely. Awesome. Oh, did I miss something else here? Let me go into, we have two different chats, I guess. Let me see if I missed something. No, I think we're good. Let me know if you have any other questions. I know we're pretty much out of time for today. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much. Hopefully you learned something today. But that is what it looks like to take a contract through the whole life cycle here in Concord.